Welcome to the 2023 Candidates Forum sponsored by Wallingford Community Women in conjunction with Wallingford Government Media. I'm Jean McFarland, the program moderator. This segment features 3 of the 11 candidates running for the Board of Education. The format will be as follows. The first part of the program will consist of questions asked of the candidates by 2 reporters from the Record Journal. They are Nicole Zappone, Wallingford reporter, and Crystal Eliscano, reporter for the Latino Communities Reporting Lab. We also have a student from Sheehan High School, and she is Leah Butts. This will be a round-robin type format where each of the candidates will answer a question. Candidates will then have the opportunity to make a comment on the question they were not asked, if they so desire. The second part will allow each candidate to make a closing statement. During the question and answer portion of the program, each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to a question and 1 minute for the follow-up commentary. After the question and commentary period, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make closing remarks. Before beginning the questioning, I'd like to introduce 3 of the candidates running for Board of Education. They are Marla Roscoe, Republican, Sandy Stork, Democrat, and Michael Votto, Democrat. Caroline Reynes, who is a Republican, is unable to attend and has submitted a statement to be read at the end. And Ray Ross, Republican, is also unable to attend but chose not to submit a statement. Nicole Zappone, would you please ask the first question of Marla Roscoe?
Good evening. Are you concerned about potential transportation issues related to the consolidation of the 2 high schools?
Thank you so much for your question, Nicole. Absolutely. And when we were venturing towards this decision of consolidation, transportation is one of the issues that I continue to raise. I personally live at the border of Wallingford and Cheshire, and so I'm a mom of 2 boys in the Wallingford Public School, and if this project were on track, my oldest son would actually be the first class to be in a new consolidated high school. And so, of course, the thought of long bus rides, knowing how rigorous our academic schedules are, knowing how rigorous their extracurricular activity schedule is a concern. And I really do believe that although I am very much in favor of one high school, we do need to be looking at more transportation studies, further investigating the information given to us from the bus company. And if I'm being very honest, which was not part of the question, I really do think this is why we really also need to look for an alternate location for the establishment of one high school. But absolutely, transportation is for sure a concern for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leah Butts, would you please ask the next question of Sandy Stork?
Thank you so much. Recently, there has been a lot of commotion based on the proposal of the 2 public high schools in town unifying as one. How do you feel about Sheehan and Lyman Hall combining into one high school, and how may changes affect Wallingford traditions?
Hi, thank you, Leah. Like Melanie had said before in the last session, I have been a proponent for 2 high schools since this issue came to light in 2017. So for many different reasons, mental health, the size of the consolidated school, and the location, I think that we really need to do some more work, also with transparency and question and answer sessions and just listening sessions with the community. It's quite clear in 2018 that when we did the study, the survey of the town, that the one school solution was not back then even the one that was that the majority wanted. So, you know, we've been talking about this since 2017, it's 2023, and I really don't think that we're any closer than we were in 2017. So I think that we need to, you know, as it is now, it's kind of, you know, the the location is the biggest issue with everybody on the town council and the court board. So I definitely think there needs to be some more work to really dig in, but also to engage the community.
Crystal Eliscano, would you please ask the next question of Michael Avato?
In light of the wide-ranging impact of high school consolidation, should the decision be put to a referendum?
That would be up to the community. Once the, excuse me, once the council decides what they want to do. It's ultimately in the council's hands at this point. They have to decide at some point if they are willing to fund, or at least initially start funding some of the things that we have to do. At that point, a referendum might be started, initiated, but it would only happen then when money is given to the board from the town council to continue whatever they're doing. Was that all of your question? I could go into other things, but I'd be here for another hour, but go ahead. Was that the only question, the referendum?
Yes, and would you support it?
Would I support a referendum? Sure. I mean, if that's the people's, if the people of the community feel that the board has not made the best decision in their interest or the children's interest, go right ahead. There were 8 people on the board who did a lot of studying. We took everything very seriously. We did not just talk about distance and traveling. We talked about academics, which is number one. And personally, I feel that's the major thrust of this thing, education, academics, and what's open to kids as a result of one school. It would make a big difference. Did I go over?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Good. We're good. Leah Butts, would you please ask the next question of Marla Roscoe?
Of course. If you are elected to the Board of Education, what specific changes will you institute to improve our schools in terms of social and emotional intelligence among the student body?
Thank you so much for your question, Leah. So I am very much hoping to seek re-election to the Board of Education. If nothing else, we have learned so much the social emotional need that our students and our faculty possess. And I'm not sure if the public is aware of this, but one of the things that I'm so proud of that we do here in Wallingford is intertwining social emotional education into our curriculum. In the elementary school, we have something called the Nurtured Heart program, and my kindergartner and second grader come home on a very regular basis with activities that we do as a family, which help them learn skills like how to reduce their anxiety, coping skills. And this is just one example of what we do here in Wallingford, and this is obviously on various levels that are appropriate to the grade level. We see this being carried out through middle school and high school as well. And so that's something that I'm really very, very proud of. And in terms of mental health, we need to continue to keep a pulse on this. It is an ever-growing problem. We know is an ever-growing problem. We are doing our best to stay staffed with the health professional staff in terms of psychologists, social workers that are needed to maintain an adequate caseload so that students are getting the best, most quality type of service possible. And honestly, that takes money and that takes a more abundant budget or prioritizing that, which is something I'm very much in favor of. Thank you.
Crystal Eliscano, would you please ask the next question of Sandy Stork?
Do you support plans to renovate the 2 middle schools, Dag and Moran? How would you address the overall maintenance needs of the school district?
Hi, so yes, I definitely support the renovation of the 2 middle schools. They've needed some work for some time. My daughter is a 7th grader at Moran, so she can probably tell you firsthand the conditions of the building. But the problem is that the renovation of the middle schools is also tied to the whole district-wide plan of the 1 versus 2 high schools and also adult ed. So there's a whole bunch of different things that come into the mix. And I believe that the Board of Ed is studying that along with the 1 and 2 high school issue with the consultant they've hired. So hopefully that work will continue to move forward and not stall because of the 1 versus 2 high school.
Nicole Zapparone, would you please ask the next question of Michael Votto?
Sure. How would you address the ongoing teacher shortage, especially for STEM teachers, special education teachers, language teachers, substitute teachers, and bilingual teachers?
All of them? Okay. There's a teacher shortage throughout the whole country. We all know that. And the best way to tackle some of those things is to begin when children are in high school, offering them alternatives to, not alternatives, but helping them make decisions through the guidance office when they go in there to sit down and talk about colleges and whatnot. I think there has to be a little bit more of a push, perhaps. I think teachers are getting a bad rap these days, and that does not help to recruit new teachers. I think teachers are dealing with a lot more issues in the classrooms today than they ever have before. I taught for 36 years, and I was an administrator for 10. I know what I'm talking about. Children have changed over the years. There's a lot of things that teachers have to deal with, socially, academically, nationally, things that come up, and it's a very tedious job. And they're constantly getting professional development to deal with some of these issues. So it's very hard. I guess I'm getting away from your answer or your question. It's very hard to get people interested. I just happened to go to a college fair last night at Oakdale with one of my grandchildren. And I've got to tell you, not one of those schools talked about teaching unless he asked them. And there's one of the issues right there. There's a problem. The colleges are not even recruiting, it seems like. They're not talking about the shortage. As far as our substitutes, I will go on record to say, I think we should probably raise the pay. Do I think it's gonna solve the problem? Probably not. There are not enough bodies out there to get into the classrooms. And let's face it, to do that is a very difficult thing to do. To walk into a classroom that you have no knowledge of the students and what issues they might have, and you're expected to follow somebody else's plans, and that's difficult.
Crystal Eliscano, would you please ask the next question of Marla Roscoe?
A study done by the National School Boards Association reveals that all students, especially Black and Latino students, benefit when they have access to teachers of color. To what extent should the Wallingford School District focus their efforts on recruiting teachers and school administrators of color?
Thank you so much for your question, Crystal. I believe very much in the results that we saw yielded from that study. I think in general, people do better when they see themselves in positions of authority, positions of stature. And so it is so vitally important that we are making sure that we are giving our Wallingford students an opportunity to see themselves in our administrators and in our teachers. As was previously stated in the first session, the Board of Ed is not instrumental in hiring teachers. That's done through the administration. But I can say with the utmost confidence that that is certainly a lens that they are continually looking through. We very much prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when I sit, one of my favorite jobs as part of a Board of Ed is getting to interview some of the potential administrators. And when I sit there, I'm taking all factors into account. Of course, their proficiency, their background, their experience, but I'm also looking to see, can they help to fill a gap that is much needed in our town to help to give people an opportunity to see themselves in someone standing in front of them. Because I really think that sometimes, in a time when people can oftentimes be a little bit lost, maybe a little undermotivated, when you can see yourself in someone, it gives you that exact impetus that you need to push forward and really strive for success. Thank you so much.
Nicole Zapparone, would you please ask the next question of Sandy Stork?
Sure. Is the school system doing enough to address the issue of bullying?
So glad you asked that question. Because the state of Connecticut just passed legislation that is requiring boards of ed to adopt a brand new bullying initiative to help with the bullying issue. It constitutes of actually setting up a climate director and several other different positions and also committees within the school system. This has to be done and in place by 2025-26 at the very latest. As was discussed in one of the Board of Education meetings, it's a huge lift. So it's projects like this, along with all of the regular work that the Board of Education does. It's going to be a lot of work. I know that the Board of Education can do it, and I support that because I think that for the state to require that of all school districts, then there's issues that need to be addressed.
Thank you.
Leah Butts, would you please ask the last question of Michael Votto?
Of course. Mr. Votto, if you were elected into office, what is your vision or goal of what education in Wallingford will look like in the coming years?
Oh, so glad you asked that. I've been waiting because not one person has mentioned curriculum tonight. And that, to me, is the most important thing. And I think we have a curriculum person who is the assistant superintendent who is in charge of that, and we have curriculum coordinators that help write new curriculum or revise old curriculum. And that is an ongoing thing, and I think it should continue, obviously, and it probably will. That is also based on the newest things that are going on in the world. That affects what curriculum is being written. We have professional development that allows teachers to listen, to go out and hear about the new ways of introducing new curriculum. So it's a very active part of our Board of Education. Could you repeat the rest of that question again?
Of course.
I want to make sure I hit everything.
Yes, the last part. What is your vision or goal of what education in Wallingford will look like in the coming years?
Okay, I think I probably said it. I want to keep current. That's very important, to keep current with national issues, world issues. I'm a history buff. I taught history. You can ask Mrs. Latour. I have all the history curriculum at home waiting for me to go through every single one of them because I'm very interested in things being taught that should be taught. And finally, I'll say, we teach children how to think, not what to think. And hopefully this Board of Education will continue to do that. I've been on the board for 22 years, and I've seen it happen. I've seen it progress from one end to the other. I've seen children change from one end to the other. And I think this board has worked very hard over the years to keep up with all those issues and have done a great job in doing that. Not that I want to say, you know, it's all me. It's 9 people that work together collaboratively, and I want that to remain. And I hope, if I get elected again, I hope I can act as a resource to what anybody else who gets elected because they've either served one term or no term. So I hope I can be a resource to them.
Okay, we will start with the comments section. Marla Roscoe.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to just talk a little bit about something that I didn't get to touch on tonight. I think one of the greatest strengths, although also some controversy, that came out of our facility study is the fact that I truly do believe that we need a waterfall plan because this is what is going to help to keep Wallingford current, to your point, Mr. Votto, but also allow us to be fiscally responsible when we are maintaining our educational structures. I believe very strongly that we need to provide our students with a place that is safe and state-of-the-art so that top-notch education can occur. And so I very much look forward to continuing my work to advocate for the replacement of 2 middle schools and the replacement of those portable classrooms which are long past their life at Cook Hill School. And so I just wanted to have an opportunity to comment on that. And I very much look forward to being able to pursue that work as I hopefully am reelected into a 2nd term on the Board of Education.
Sandy Stork.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to touch on the one question Mike had answered about attraction and retention of students and the nationwide teacher shortage. I graduated from college with my education degree in 2001. It was a very different landscape back then between 2001 and 2003. I could not find a permanent elementary school position, so I took a position as an 8th grade science and math teacher. I had to pivot my career because, again, there's just nothing out there. And, you know, I definitely think that our sub pay needs to go up, and retaining teachers and putting supports in for them. And, you know, their mental health has also suffered the last couple of years with the pandemic and post-pandemic. And so supporting them as much as we can as a Board of Education and central office, and making things easier for teachers that we know that we can, you know, help with.
Michael Bottom.
I have a lot to say in a minute. First of all, the Board of Education did not vote to put a new high school on the Lyman Hall property. That was not part of the vote, and I want to make that very clear. Number two, health, mental health, that sort of thing. We have, as part of our strategic plan, climate as one of our objectives. And we, every other year, give a survey to the teachers. We find out what the climate hopefully is like in the school system. And our students are given a health survey every other year in the high school, and we just started in the middle school. So we get a feel for what's going on out there, and then we try to apply those needs to everyday situations in our schools with the support, help that we have. And I'm proud to say we're probably one of the towns that have the most amount of support help in our schools. Can I go on?
No. Thank you. That includes the question and commentary portion of the program. Each candidate will now have 2 minutes to make a closing statement, and we'll start with Marla Roscoe.
Thank you so much. One of my boys' favorite bedtime stories is Be a Star, Wonder Woman by Michael Dahl. It features a young girl as she starts her educational journey and the lessons she learns in elementary school. Lessons like how to face a challenge head-on, how to work collaboratively with her classmates, how to ask for help, and when to use her voice and stand up for what she believes in. I very much liken my first term serving on the Board of Ed to this main character. It's my ability to listen openly and work collaboratively that has helped me to lead the board to some resolutions. And in times of uncertainty, I have asked clarifying questions, most notably as we endeavored to try to decide one high school versus two. And when needed, I am more than confident to use my voice to stand up for what I know is right, as I advocated for the completion of safety vestibules and the replacement of the Sheehan track and field to ensure the well-being of our student athletes. As a college adjunct professor, I see firsthand some of our educational gaps, and that has only furthered my resolve to ensure that Wallingford education is so well-rounded. I truly believe it is how we ensure academic success, career success, and life success. Serving on my first term, I have learned so much, and I am proud of my effort, but it has just barely scratched the surface. I am acutely aware of the hard work and tough decisions that are coming, but I am ready to dive deep and continue to work towards educational proficiency, improvement of test scores, and education of the whole child. To quote Be a Star, no matter how tough the challenge, how great the task, she must never give up, she must never quit. So I ask you to consider voting for me, Marla Roscoe, on November 7th. It would be my honor to continue to serve you and advocate for what is right for Wallingford students. Thank you.
Sandy Stork.
I want to thank the Wallingford Women's Organization and also the Wallingford students and also Crystal and Nicole for asking questions tonight. I'm a brand new candidate for office. I've never run for public office before. I decided to run for Board of Education because I got involved with paying attention to the Board of Education meetings and everything going on in town because I have a 7th grader and also a 4th grader now. And I felt like it was a time that I could put in the work that needed to be put in. I've lived here for 14 years with my husband and 2 daughters. I am not a lifelong Wallingford resident. I think that informs part of my opinions on the 1 versus 2 schools. I have never been to a powder puff game in my life. I know a lot of people were saying that the rivalries and the traditions are what is leading people to vote for that. two-school solution, which it is not for me. There are so many big projects coming up with, like I said, the state bullying regulations, and also kindergarten age being moved to September instead of January 1st. So there's, a lot of considerations to be taken there as far as the budget and what does that look like in terms of our kindergarten teachers. How do we increase our preschool availability for those kids? So I'm ready and willing to put the work in. I can work with anybody on the Board of Education collaboratively. I just ask that the members are willing to put the work in, because there is a lot of work to be done.
Thank you. Michael Votto.
As I said before, I've been on the board for 22 years, and I think that speaks for experience. I think I can use my experience in the future to assist with many of the things that come up in front of the board, and to assist and mentor maybe some of the new members of the board. Anyway, I have 3 children. One is a special needs child who lives home with us, and we have one daughter who's a teacher in Brantford, and I have a son who's an assistant principal up in Massachusetts. So education is in our life. Sister, brother-in-law, teachers, everybody. It's very funny. When I graduated from college, there were no positions to teach. Everybody had to do something else. Couldn't teach, there were no jobs. And it's funny how everything has just turned the other way now. I am very involved in negotiations. We have 5 contracts coming up next year. And that's where I hope I can use my expertise when we have to sit down and negotiate. I have helped with 4 superintendent searches. I've handled 1. I was in charge of 1. I do interview all the principals and vice principals for the job. I would like to propose, just briefly, talking about scores and growth. We do see growth with our students, but everybody expects the scores to be better. Yeah, it would be nice if they aligned. I think and there are other towns similar to ours who are having the same issues, or better. If they have better scores, what are they doing? Maybe it's time for us to have some kind of a committee to sit down with some other school systems that are seeing a little more success than we are, and try to share ideas. As a board member, I would also like to get into some classrooms just to see some of the nuances that are going on. I mean, I didn't use iReady or Literacy How. It wasn't like that back then. And I just like to see how some of this stuff works. So I think the board members have to keep getting involved. Thank you all for your help and getting this going. And November 7th, vote for me again. Thank you.
Okay, I will now read the statement from Caroline Reynes. Excuse me. Thank you, Wallingford Community Women, for inviting me to participate in your 2023 Board of Education Candidates Forum. However, due to illness, I am unable to be with you in person, and am thankful to the moderator for agreeing to have this statement read in lieu of my presence. My name is Carolyn Reynes, and I am a first-time candidate for the Wallingford Board of Education. I'm a mother of 3 and married to a retired municipal police officer who is also a Gulf War veteran. I have lived in Wallingford almost my entire life and currently serve as an alternate on the Inlands, Wetlands, and Watercourse Commission. I am a recent law school graduate and hold a Master's of Business Administration degree. I am a board member of Coram Deo, Inc., a woman's sober housing and recovery nonprofit. I'm also a Girl Scout troop leader and an active member and volunteer for my church. In my professional life, I worked for many years for Connecticut's Department of Labor, where I taught classes and helped people prepare resumes, craft cover letters, and learn interviewing techniques. I also served as union steward for 3 state offices, where I mitigated issues pertaining to benefits, layoffs, safety, and OSHA compliance concerns. As I have been campaigning, knocking on doors and meeting residents, the issue of 1 high school or 2 high schools weighs heavily on the minds of constituents. Of course, everyone wants to know where candidates stand on this, Not being an elected official, I was not part of the decision for one high school to be located at Lyman Hall campus, and I do not support that plan. Personally, I couldn't fathom our children traveling from streets in the Cheshire Town line all the way over to Lyman Hall. I think the process to that decision was improper and the public was not meaningfully involved. I think we can do better, much better. There are many missing pieces, and I think that the students need to come first. I'd be interested in learning more about student input and safety. I care about Wallingford students and its schools. I am confident that my vast background and skills will assist me to understand the particular needs of our students, the interests of parents, and the concerns of teachers and administrators. If elected, I will work diligently to ensure all voices are heard. For more information, you can find me on my Facebook page, Caroline Reynes for Board of Ed, or you can email me at carolinereynescares@gmail.com. I hope that Wallingford voters find my resume and my experiences to be appropriate fit for the Wallingford Board of Education and vote for me, Caroline Reynes, on Election Day. Thank you for tuning in and listening to my statement. Thank you. This concludes part 2 of the 2023 Board of Education Candidates Forum. On behalf of the Wallingford Community Women, I thank you for watching and remind you to please vote on November 7th. Thank you. Thank you.